Hello creatives and welcome back to another video. In today's class we'll be painting loose style daffodils in watercolor. This style of painting is a little bit more advanced than the previous loose style paintings that I have posted. So this one's going to take a little bit more patience while painting. And for today's project I'm going to be using this 300 GSM watercolor block by Hannah Mule. And I also my regular set of brushes, and I have this beautiful reference picture of daffodils which absolutely captured my heart because I love how the sunlight is falling on the flowers, and I thought this would be a perfect reference to paint to demonstrate the playfulness of light and shadow. If you look at this reference picture, you can see how the sunlight is falling on the flowers, and the flowers almost look like they're glowing, and I want to capture the same essence of light falling on the flowers and the shadows in today's painting. And to capture light and shadow is actually a beautiful way to improve your watercolor skills, and this is also a very popular technique in watercolor that I see a lot of artists love to capture light and shadow in their paintings. So here I am starting with a sketch, and for the sketch today I thought I will paint in a little bit I'll sketch in a little bit more detail. The reason why I'm doing so is because even though I'm going to be painting a loose style painting, but I still want the painting to be a little bit more accurate, especially the daffodils, the shape and the size. I want it to look a little bit more accurate. The reason why, because I feel if I don't do that, it's going to look a little amateur, and in order to avoid that, I just thought that I need to sketch in a little bit more detail here. Now, since my painting is going to be very painterly, impressionist style and very gestural, that is why I feel that my sketch needs to be proper here, and the shape of the flowers and all of that, which is why I think I am taking the sketch a little bit more seriously here. So I'll quickly take you through the colors that I'm using for today's project. Mostly they are all the yellows. So I have permanent yellow deep, light orange, lemon yellow, and some chromium oxide. And this one's a turquoise, a cobalt turquoise blue, but I just kept it handy in case if I feel like I want to add some blue here and there. But my main shade here is permanent yellow light, because I want the daffodils to be beautifully glowing and very lit, and I want to go with a very lighter shade of yellow here. I'm starting the painting by wetting only the petal area first with water, and then with another brush I am just going over those same petals with my yellow shade. Same thing I'm doing for all the flowers. However, I am leaving some white spaces here and there. So if you notice guys that in this step I am mainly applying my shadow colors, that is my darker colors, towards the left hand side of the painting, because my light source is from the right hand side. So you need to really observe the reference picture and really capture those shadow areas, and allow yourself to kind of take some time and see where the shadows are falling, and then accordingly use a different value of colors to determine the same. So this shade I'm using here is light orange, and it's a very light shade of orange color. Now if you don't have the shade, you can actually just mix a lot of yellow to your vermilion, and you should be able to get a very similar color. And here also I am adding the orange towards the left hand side while creating the center of the flowers. Next up is I'm going ahead and adding another layer, and this one is actually the shadow areas now, which I am going to create with Payne's Gray. So I will be mixing Payne's Gray with a little bit of yellow, and to get a nice muted shade of yellow, at the same time slightly more darker than the first layer of yellow. And here I am now starting to add all the shadows. Now this step is I'm constantly referring to my reference picture, and I am trying to just mimic those shadow areas and just blocking the color exactly exactly how the shadow is falling on the flowers. At this point of the painting stage, I feel that sometimes it can be a little daunting, because suddenly you might have a feeling that you are probably ruining the whole thing, because it is going through a slightly ugly phase right now, which is okay. I think you just need to trust the process, and I know that eventually it's going to work out. Notice, guys, that even though I did sketch a slightly detailed way, but here again, if you see that my strokes, my brush strokes, and the colors are still very gestural and very expressive and loose, and I want to keep it that way because that is the style that I'm going for. But at the same time, you can actually make out that they are daffodils and not just any other flower. So that is what is important, guys. In loose style painting, guys, using bold, confident strokes will always bring in more interest to your paintings, and by doing so, you will also avoid your painting looking overworked. So, the best thing is to your painting can look underworked, but the worst thing that can happen is if your painting looks overworked. So, you need to be a little careful there, guys. So try and work in minimum of 3 layers, guys, and not more than that, because if you put in too many layers, then yes, there is a high probability that your painting can look overworked. If you have watched the video till here, then I will highly appreciate it if you guys can subscribe to my channel and like this video, because it will really help the algorithm, guys, and I will be motivated to keep making more videos for all of you. So please consider subscribing. And here again, the next step that I wanted to talk about is, I know that this can be little difficult for the beginners, those of you who have just starting to paint, but I know that the only way to improve in your watercolors, or any field for that matter, is how much actual practice you put into. So even though watching the video is just not enough, guys, you have to put in your practice, and that is what is going to help you remember the steps and the techniques that you are seeing in this video today. So yes, practicing is very important. This technique of painting is also called as negative painting. So basically what I'm doing is I'm taking a darker shade and I'm painting around the subject. So here in this case, my flower is the subject, and I am using another shade, or rather a darker color, to paint around it and bring out those petals in a way that I'm creating a background. So this is giving me a nice a three-dimensional effect, and it's also helping the flowers to kind of pop out, and that's a really nice way to incorporate some background effects in your painting. But there's just one thing that you need to be careful about, is when you're doing this technique of negative painting, you need to place the colors very strategically. So don't go around the whole flower and just circle or surround it with the same color, because we don't want that. We need the variety, because that is what is going to make the painting look interesting. So only on some areas is where I am using those nice dark shadows, and some places where I'm leaving white spaces. So yeah, so you can do it this way, and I think that would create more interest to the painting. Now here I am adding some more stems and leaves like elements to the painting, because we need those things because they complete the painting, and it just brings everything together. And even while painting the stems as well, do not I will say don't go for very detailed or very tighter leaves. Try and hold the brush towards the end of the handle, and keep your hand very loose and your wrist as well, and try to create a natural raw organic shapes of stems and leaves, because that will actually blend in well with your whole look of the painting. So here we are almost at the end of the painting, and I'm signing my name here. And you can see that even though it didn't take me a lot of time to paint this one, probably just about a little less than an hour, because probably I have been painting for a while, and I could understand the light and shadow areas. But for you, take as much time as you want. You don't have to rush. There is no catching the bus or the train. So take all your time and paint and have fun. Thank you guys for watching the video, and I hope you learned a few things today. Enjoy painting your daffodils, and I'll see you again soon in the next video.